Your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit.
So the president just addressed the housing crisis, but he dodged the one detail that will affect you the most. And if you own a home or you're trying to, that missing piece is the whole game, because right now the internet is melting down about these new 50-year mortgages, calling them dangerous, calling them predatory, acting like it's the final stage of some housing collapse. I mean, Netflix, Microsoft, 50-year mortgages, the new forever subscription society. You will own nothing. This is generational debt, not generational wealth. This is like having 15 years of car payments instead of 5. Most predatory financing I ever heard of. And then you've got the debt-free crowd. The best feeling is being 100% debt-free. Don't listen to anyone who pencils out you being enslaved to a bank. You can feel the frustration in all of that. And honestly, given what's happened the last few years, I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. People are tired of subscriptions, tired of the fine print, tired of feeling like everything in life is now a payment plan instead of something you can actually own. But buried in those same comments were a few people who accidentally told the truth. And we'll get to them in just a minute. But first, we need to go back to what the president actually said. And more importantly, what he didn't say. Because the 50-year mortgage idea by itself isn't the real story. The real story is why they need it now, and what that quietly tells you about where housing is headed next. So here's what we know. He floated the 50-year plan as a way to make the American dream affordable again. Bill Pulte, the guy running housing policy, jumped in and called it a complete game changer. And the media, they ran with the headline. But nobody explained the part that actually matters, which is this. Right now, 50-year mortgages basically don't exist in the normal system because federal rules cap standard loans at 30 years. To make this happen, the rules have to be changed at the federal level. And whenever Washington starts talking about changing the rules of housing, it's because something underneath the system isn't working the way it used to. And here's the detail that got buried. A 50-year mortgage doesn't magically make housing cheaper. It barely changes the monthly payment, maybe $100 on a median home. So if affordability is still terrible and the payment barely moves, why would they even bring this up? Because it wasn't meant to solve affordability. It was meant to solve access. Access to buyers, access to financing, access to demand. In plain English, they're not trying to make homes cheaper. They're trying to keep people in the market without lowering prices. And that's half of what the president didn't say. The other half? That's where the whole story flips. But the 50-year mortgage isn't an affordability fix. It's a market support tool. And once you see it that way, everything suddenly makes sense. Inventory is still low. Builders are still underbuilding. Rent is still rising. Household formation is still strong. Inflation is still pushing everything up. If they don't give buyers some kind of relief on payments, the market stalls out. And Washington cannot afford a frozen housing market. Not politically, not economically, and definitely not in another election cycle. So the real purpose of the 50-year mortgage is simple. Keep buyers in the game without forcing prices down. They gave you a longer runway, not a cheaper ticket. The other half, it was hiding in the comments, deep under all the panic and anger. I mean, a couple of people spotted it without perhaps even meaning to. One person said, the 50-year loan has investment benefits. Fear gets clicks. Another said, I didn't start getting ahead until I stopped renting. And the best one was this. If you can borrow at or below inflation, the bank is basically paying you. Those comments? That's the actual story. Because here's the part nobody's saying out loud. A 50-year mortgage isn't a trap if you understand what it's for. It's a bridge. A bridge to get into a home when prices aren't coming down and inventory isn't magically appearing and inflation is eating your cash faster every year. You don't hold it for 50 years. You use it to get into the game so you're not priced out forever. And this is the part almost everybody gets wrong. They're arguing about the length of the mortgage, but that's not where people win or lose. The question isn't, should I commit to a 50-year mortgage? The real questions are, where will prices be 12 months after you buy in? And where will rates be 12 months after you buy in? Because history says those answers matter a lot more than the number of years on your paperwork. I mean, if home prices rise even 4 or 5% in a year and you already own a home, you're moving forward. If you're renting, you're moving backwards. And you can always refinance when rates come down. You should. You can change the term, you can change the payment, you can change the structure, but you can't go back in time and buy last year's prices. That's why the length of the mortgage isn't the real issue here. The real issue is whether you're in the market when the numbers finally shift. So here's what I would do if I were trying to buy a home today. I'd use the 50-year mortgage as a temporary tool, not a lifetime plan. I'd use it to get into the market, to lock in the appreciation, to let inflation slowly shrink the real cost of that debt, and to keep the monthly payment comfortable in the meantime. And the moment rates come down, which they eventually do, I'd refinance out of it. And remember, we're not talking about some huge change in rates here. I mean, if the 50-year mortgage only saves you around $100 a month or so on a median priced home, it only takes about a 0.5% drop in rates to completely wipe out the difference in a refi. Just a 0.5 point. That's not some miracle scenario. That's just normal movement in the mortgage market. So the point isn't locking yourself into a 50-year mortgage forever. The point is using it as a bridge to get into the market now, catch the appreciation, control an asset that keeps rising, and then switch to a better loan when rates come back down that tiny bit. Because the goal isn't to avoid every form of debt. The goal is to own something real, while the dollars you owe quietly lose value. So when you step back and look at the headlines, you look at the outrage, the fear, and the part the president didn't say, the 50-year mortgage isn't panic-worthy. It's the clue, a clue that the system is adjusting, that demand still needs support, and that waiting for some magical reset isn't a strategy. It's just waiting. Because in real estate, the people who win aren't the ones who react to the announcement. They're the ones who understand the detail that didn't get said and make their moves before everyone else figures it out. Now, I can already hear the next objection. Okay, Matt, fine, but this is still a terrible time to buy. Everyone knows the market's going to crash. And look, a lot of people believe that. And a lot of creators are saying it. And they've been saying it every single year since 2019. I mean, Kiyosaki himself, Mr. Cashflow, was promising an all-out housing collapse back in 2015. So if you want the full breakdown of why that belief hasn't lined up with reality, with the math, or with actual market behavior, I pulled this next video out specifically for you. As they say, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. And that has never been more true than right now. In fact, it's never been more dangerous to ignore that advice. I'll walk you through it all right here. See you there.